This is Discover USA Collapse, and today we're sounding the alarm. Toothpaste, the one thing you use every single morning and night, may not be as safe as you think. Over 100,000 trusted tubes have been pulled off American shelves in just the last few months. Families who believed they were protecting their teeth have now been left questioning what exactly they were putting in their mouths. From hidden toxins to shocking recalls, we're exposing the truth behind 4 of the most popular toothpaste brands that you probably have sitting in your bathroom cabinet right now. And once you hear why they were recalled, you'll never look at that tube the same way again. Number 4. Colgate. For over a century, Colgate has been America's go-to toothpaste. The name itself became synonymous with oral hygiene, backed by generations of ads promising brighter smiles and healthier gums. Their marketing was everywhere. Glossy commercials showing perfect white teeth, sponsorships with dentists, and even campaigns inside schools, teaching children that Colgate was the gold standard. But behind the friendly image of the red and white tube lies a darker story that has finally started to surface in 2025. Earlier this year, the FDA confirmed that over 100,000 tubes of Colgate toothpaste were recalled due to contamination with diethylene glycol, a dangerous chemical more commonly found in antifreeze than in oral care. Investigators traced the issue back to a supplier overseas that had been flagged for safety concerns as far back as 2021. Internal documents leaked to the press suggested that Colgate executives were warned about potential problems in their supply chain, yet shipments continued because halting production would have cost the company millions in lost revenue. The result? Tens of thousands of American families unknowingly brushed their teeth with a chemical that has been linked to kidney failure, nervous system damage, and in high enough doses, death. The scandal grew worse when consumer watchdog groups uncovered additional findings. Some of the recalled tubes also contained excessive levels of triclosan, an antibacterial ingredient that Colgate had pledged to phase out years ago after studies connected it to hormone disruption and antibiotic resistance. Parents began posting pictures online of their children's swollen gums and skin irritations, demanding to know why such ingredients were still showing up in products marketed as safe for families. On forums and social media, former loyal customers described burning sensations, metallic aftertastes, and even nausea after brushing with certain batches. One viral post read, "I trusted Colgate for 20 years. Now I feel like I was brushing poison into my kids' mouths." Financially, the fallout has been devastating. Shares in Colgate-Palmolive dropped nearly 12% in a single week after the recall was announced, wiping out billions in market value. Class action lawsuits are piling up, with legal experts predicting settlements could exceed $400 million. Analysts warn that the brand's carefully built image of safety and reliability may never recover, especially as competitors rush to remind consumers that their formulas do not include controversial ingredients. Meanwhile, retailers like Walmart and Target have quietly reduced their Colgate inventory, replacing it with safer alternatives. A move that speaks volumes about the erosion of trust. But perhaps the most chilling detail is how long this issue went unnoticed. Independent lab tests conducted by university researchers in late 2024 had already shown elevated chemical levels in some Colgate products. Their findings were published in obscure scientific journals, but the company did not act until national. Regulators forced their hand. In hindsight, it looks less like an accident and more like a cover-up. That realization has left many Americans questioning how much they can really trust multinational corporations that control the very basics of daily life. Colgate's public response has been damage control. Carefully worded press releases, half-hearted apology, and a promise to review supply chain practices. But critics say it's not enough. Once a household name loses the trust of mothers, fathers, and seniors, the people who buy toothpaste every week without thinking, the damage is permanent. What was once the brand of family smiles is now a brand name associated with betrayal and danger. And the uncomfortable truth is, Colgate's red and white tube, still sitting in millions of bathrooms, may no longer represent safety at all. Number 3. Crest. If Colgate has always been the safe and familiar brand, Crest has been its biggest rival, competing for decades with promises of advanced whitening and enamel protection. Generations of Americans grew up seeing Crest commercials during Saturday morning cartoons, trusting the smiling actors in lab coats who claimed that 4 out of 5 dentists recommend it. But in 2025, Crest's carefully polished image has been shattered by a series of scandals that have exposed dangerous ingredients, misleading claims, and a shocking nationwide recall that pulled nearly 40,000 tubes from stores in under 2 weeks. The problem started with Crest's 3D White and Pro Health lines, both of which were found to contain microplastic beads used for polishing teeth. These tiny particles, which are now banned in many personal care products, don't break down in the body or in nature. Dentists have raised alarms that the beads can lodge themselves between gums and teeth, causing irritation, infections, and even contributing to gum disease over time. Environmental scientists added another layer of concern, pointing out that these plastics wash down drains and end up in rivers, lakes, and oceans, where they're consumed by fish and, eventually, by humans. In other words, every time someone brushed with Crest, they were not just endangering their own mouth, but contributing to a much bigger environmental crisis. But the scandal didn't stop there. Independent labs testing Crest products also found traces of sodium lauryl sulfate at levels far higher than industry recommendations. This cheap foaming agent has long been criticized for stripping the mouth of protective saliva and causing painful canker sores. One clinical review published in the Journal of Oral Science revealed that regular Crest users were twice as likely to report recurring mouth ulcers compared to those who used natural or fluoride-only brands. Yet Crest continued to advertise these products as gentle enough for daily use. Families who trusted the ads began reporting burning sensations, peeling skin inside the mouth, and heightened tooth sensitivity, all linked back to Crest's formulas. The most explosive discovery came when the FDA flagged Crest tubes imported from certain overseas factories that tested positive for formaldehyde-releasing preservatives. Formaldehyde, a known carcinogen, has no place in a product that goes directly into people's mouths. Consumer advocacy groups quickly called for an immediate ban, sparking headlines nationwide. Major pharmacy chains like CVS and Walgreens rushed to pull affected Crest products from shelves, leaving empty spaces where one of America's top-selling toothpastes once stood. The public backlash was fierce. On Twitter, hashtags like #CrestRecall and #ToxicToothpaste trended for days, with furious parents posting videos of themselves throwing Crest tubes into the trash. Financially, the damage is staggering. Procter & Gamble, Crest's parent company, reported a sudden $600 million dip in quarterly revenue attributed to unexpected supply chain issues, a corporate euphemism that insiders confirmed was directly tied to the recall. Investors are spooked, and consumer confidence surveys now place Crest below generic store brands for the first time in history. Lawsuits are already in motion, with one high-profile case filed in New York alleging that Crest knowingly sold products containing banned ingredients for years, while mislabeling them as safe. If successful, these suits could force payouts in the hundreds of millions, not to mention permanent damage to Crest's reputation. What makes this scandal particularly disturbing is how preventable it all was. Environmental activists had been warning about microbeads for more than a decade. Health experts had flagged sodium lauryl sulfate as a problem since the early 2000s, and watchdog organizations had published reports hinting at contamination risks in overseas factories long. Before regulators acted, Crest ignored the warnings, poured millions into glossy ad campaigns, and reassured parents that their products were dentist-approved. The result? Thousands of families unknowingly exposed themselves to toxins, all while paying premium prices for what they thought was the safest choice. Today, Crest's once bright smile has turned into a cautionary tale. The company has promised to reformulate and remove problematic ingredients, but many experts believe the damage is already done. In a world where trust in consumer brands is fragile, Crest is now facing a harsh reality. The white smile they sold to millions of Americans has been permanently stained by greed, negligence, and betrayal. Number 2. Sensodyne. For years, Sensodyne built its empire on a single promise: relief for sensitive teeth. The brand's commercials became iconic: people biting into ice cream or sipping cold water, wincing in pain, until Sensodyne magically restored comfort. Dentists often recommended it, and patients trusted it, paying nearly double the price of regular toothpaste for what they believed was a medically backed solution. But in 2025, the shine around Sensodyne has cracked wide open, as regulators, independent labs, and angry consumers have revealed just how misleading, and in some cases dangerous, this premium brand has become. The heart of the scandal lies in potassium nitrate, Sensodyne's flagship ingredient for desensitizing teeth. While the chemical can temporarily block pain signals from nerves inside the teeth, multiple studies now suggest that its long-term use does not address underlying dental issues. It merely masks them. Dentists have warned that patients relying on Sensodyne to dull their sensitivity might actually be ignoring cavities, enamel erosion, or gum disease. In one shocking case, highlighted by the American Dental Review, a 64-year-old patient lost 4 teeth after years of daily Sensodyne use, believing her pain was under control, when in reality, her gums were deteriorating. Critics accuse the brand of selling a Band-Aid solution, while marketing it as a cure. But it gets worse. Independent testing in late 2024 revealed that certain imported batches of Sensodyne contained titanium dioxide nanoparticles, a whitening agent banned in the European Union as a potential carcinogen. The chemical safety has been questioned for years, but GlaxoSmithKline, Sensodyne's parent company, continued to use it in formulas distributed across the US until the recent outcry. Advocacy groups argue that the company exploited weaker American regulations to push products containing substances that were deemed unsafe for European consumers. This discovery fueled outrage online, with posts from health-conscious buyers reading, "Why are American mouths treated like test labs?" The backlash intensified when consumer watchdogs uncovered misleading claims in Sensodyne's advertising. Several products boasted clinically proven relief within 2 weeks, yet closer examination showed the studies were funded and conducted by GlaxoSmithKline itself, with no independent oversight. In fact, a 2023 review by the British Journal of Dentistry concluded that results varied widely and that the benefits were often overstated. Lawsuits are now mounting, alleging false advertising and consumer deception. One class action suit in California includes thousands of plaintiffs who claim they paid inflated prices for promises that never held up in real life. Meanwhile, the FDA issued a nationwide safety warning in January 2025 after reports of users experiencing mouth ulcers, gum irritation, and even gastrointestinal discomfort linked to swallowed residue of Sensodyne toothpaste. Though the brand quickly issued a voluntary recall of nearly 20,000 tubes, the damage to consumer trust was irreversible. Pharmacies like Rite Aid and major retailers like Costco reduced their Sensodyne stock, opting to push natural or fluoride-only alternatives instead. Financial markets reacted swiftly. GlaxoSmithKline's oral care division saw profits tumble by nearly 18% in the first quarter of 2025, wiping billions from the company's valuation. Shareholders are furious, accusing the company of negligence, while industry insiders predict Sensodyne could lose its dominant position within the next 2 years. Competitors such as Tom's of Maine and Hello Toothpaste are already capitalizing on the scandal, aggressively marketing themselves as safer, chemical-free options. Perhaps the most unsettling part of this scandal is how deeply Sensodyne had embedded itself in the trust of older Americans, particularly seniors over 60 who suffer from naturally thinning enamel. For years, this group was told that Sensodyne was not only effective, but essential. Now, those very customers feel betrayed. Stories are surfacing of retirees on fixed incomes who spent hundreds of dollars annually on Sensodyne products, only to discover they were paying a premium for ingredients linked to health risks. The betrayal cuts deeper when you realize these were the people least able to absorb the financial and medical consequences of a dangerous product. Today, the once premium brand that claimed to protect smiles is facing a crisis of credibility that may prove fatal. Sensodyne's glossy image has been replaced with a harsh truth. Behind the promise of relief lies a pattern of deception, negligence, and greed. And for the millions who trusted it, the pain of betrayal may last far longer than the pain of sensitive teeth. Number 1. Aquafresh. For decades, Aquafresh sold itself as the fun, family-friendly toothpaste. Its 3 colorful stripes, red for gums, white for teeth, blue for breath, became iconic in American bathrooms. Ads showed smiling kids, playful jingles, and reassuring slogans like, "Triple protection for the whole family." Parents thought they were giving their children something safe, even cheerful. But in 2025, the truth about Aquafresh has exploded into headlines, and it is far darker than anyone imagined. The scandal began with a massive recall of nearly 50,000 tubes across the Midwest, triggered by consumer complaints of chemical burns and mouth blisters. The FDA's investigation revealed shocking levels of sorbitol and propylene glycol in certain Aquafresh formulas. Additives meant to create texture and moisture, but, when poorly balanced, capable of causing severe oral irritation. Parents reported children crying after brushing, with swollen lips and bleeding gums. Pediatric dentists sounded the alarm, warning that young enamel, far softer than adult teeth, was being exposed to unnecessary risks from what was supposed to be a gentle, family-safe product. Even more disturbing was the discovery that some Aquafresh products contained fluoride levels exceeding federal limits, a serious issue given fluoride's known link to skeletal fluorosis and cognitive effects in children when consumed in high doses. Independent tests by a New York university found that certain Aquafresh batches contained nearly 30% more fluoride than what was declared on the label. For a brand trusted by parents to protect their kids, this revelation was nothing short of betrayal. Advocacy groups demanded answers, asking how such a large corporation, owned by GlaxoSmithKline, could allow mislabeled products to reach millions of households. The marketing of Aquafresh came under fire, too. For years, the brand promoted its extreme whitening pastes, using abrasive silica particles to polish teeth. But dental professionals now warn that these formulas can grind down enamel permanently, leaving teeth more vulnerable to cavities and sensitivity in the long run. A 2024 article in the Journal of Clinical Dentistry concluded that regular users of Aquafresh whitening products were twice as likely to experience enamel erosion compared to users of non-abrasive alternatives. This scientific warning was never highlighted in Aquafresh's advertising. Instead, they continued to run glossy campaigns showing actors with dazzling Hollywood smiles. The public reaction has been furious. Social media exploded with videos of families dumping Aquafresh tubes into trash cans, accompanied by hashtags like #BenAquafresh and #ToxicStripes. One particularly viral video showed a mother in Illinois holding up a recalled tube, while her 7-year-old son displayed a swollen mouth on camera, saying, "This is what triple protection really did to my child." Stories like this fueled outrage nationwide, transforming Aquafresh from a playful household staple into a symbol of corporate negligence. Financially, the collapse has been brutal. Sales of Aquafresh plummeted by nearly 45% in the first half of 2025, and large retailers including Walmart, Kroger, and Walgreens quietly began phasing out shelf space dedicated to the brand. Analysts estimate that GlaxoSmithKline may lose over $700 million in revenue this year alone from the fallout. Shareholders are pressing for executive resignations, while class action lawsuits are multiplying across multiple states. Legal experts warn that settlements could rival the scale of big tobacco cases, given the sheer number of families affected. But perhaps the most haunting revelation came not from regulators, but from whistleblowers inside GlaxoSmithKline itself. According to leaked internal emails, company scientists had raised red flags about formula inconsistencies as early as 2022. Their warnings were dismissed by upper management, who feared that reformulating would delay launches and increase production costs. In other words, profit was prioritized over children's safety. This revelation has struck a deep nerve, leaving many Americans to question not only Aquafresh, but the entire oral care industry. For seniors, The betrayal feels even sharper. Many older Americans, loyal to Aquafresh since the 1980s, trusted the brand through decades of daily use. Now stories are emerging of retirees who brushed with Aquafresh for years and are suddenly facing advanced gum disease, enamel loss, and chronic mouth irritation. One 72-year-old man interviewed by a local news station summed it up. "I thought I was protecting my health every day. Turns out I was paying them to destroy it." Today, Aquafresh's once friendly stripes have become a warning sign. What was marketed as triple protection has revealed itself as a triple threat: toxic additives, misleading labels, and corporate greed. And while GlaxoSmithKline scrambles to contain the damage, the American public has learned a painful lesson. The brands we trust most are often the ones hiding the biggest dangers. At the end of the day, these recalls prove one terrifying truth. If even the biggest, most trusted toothpaste brands in America, Colgate, Crest, Sensodyne, and Aquafresh, can't guarantee safety, then no bathroom shelf is truly safe. What we thought were harmless daily routines have turned into potential health risks with toxic chemicals, hidden contaminants, and decades of corporate deception coming to light. Families, seniors, and children were treated like test subjects while billion-dollar companies cashed in on our trust. And the scariest part? These scandals may just be the beginning. If regulators only acted after thousands of complaints, what dangers are still lurking in the tubes we use every single morning and night? The collapse of trust in toothpaste is not just about 4 brands. It's about the system that allowed them to poison our smiles in the first place. So I'll leave you with this. When you pick up that next tube, how sure are you that it's truly safe?